The Women in Business Show, brought to you by Promo Experts. Promo Experts is a one-stop, full-service marketing company. They can help you get noticed with top-notch creative graphic design, marketing strategy, video production, digital marketing, and promotional products to move you forward. Okay, audience, here's your host of the Women in Business Show, Diane Carson.
Hello, listeners. Welcome to the show. My name is Diane Carson, and I am the host of the Women in Business Show on KWRH 92.9 FM and the owner of Promo Experts, a marketing, public relations, and promotional distribution company. This show airs on KWRH 92.9 FM and KXOK 102.9 FM on Sunday at noon and streams daily at 11 and 2 p.m. on My Genre Radio through Zeno FM. Each week, we interview a successful business owner or an expert who can provide advice to our women business owner listeners. Today, we've got a real expert, providing them insight into their business or to women who are just starting a business, thinking about leaving their corporate jobs to enter the world of entrepreneurship, or who want to move their business or professional life to the next level. We hope you'll gain at least one good nugget, in parentheses or in quotes, that you can put into practice in your business or professional life immediately. So today we're interviewing John Gross, and here's a little bit about John. John Gross is an entrepreneurial operating system or EOS implementer. He uses EOS's complete proven tools and disciplines to work with both growing businesses or businesses that are stuck to create a shared vision, a plan to achieve that vision, and build a stronger team. He then helps them develop the discipline and accountability to implement their plan and achieve their vision, allowing them to achieve everything they want in their business. Prior to becoming an EOS implementer, John worked in leadership roles for both privately held and publicly traded companies, both in the U.S. and internationally. He holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering from Washington University and a master's in administration from Central Michigan University. Additionally, as if we didn't go through all of that, this is amazing. He is a registered professional engineer and Six Sigma Master Black Belt. He has also authored 2 books on process improvement that are published by HarperCollins. Most recently, he was selected to take over the Entrepreneur's Toolbox column in the St. Louis Small Business Monthly. So before we go any further, let's welcome John to the show. Welcome, John.
Well, thank you, Diane. Thank you for having me.
I'm intrigued with the entrepreneurial operating system. So tell us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, first, EOS is not a software. It is not a medical device, and it is not a fad diet.
Although it sounds like it.
Okay. So what we do with EOS is we're helping small to mid-sized businesses achieve what we call vision, traction, and healthy. What does that mean? Well, vision, it's from a standpoint of getting everybody on the same page in your leadership team about where the business is going and how you plan to get there.
Right.
Traction is from the standpoint of helping your leaders to become more disciplined and accountable so they're executing really well on every part of your newly created vision. And last, healthy, meaning turning your leaders into a function cohesive leadership team, because leaders don't always function well as a team. In a nutshell, we're channeling human energy to help businesses achieve their priorities. In EOS, you can think of as it's helping you harmonize and orchestrate all the moving parts of your business to create the focus to prioritize, plan, and execute.
That's amazing. Before we came into the studio, you and I talked about how important it is to have everybody in line and really enthused about EOS. And so that you could move them forward, so to help their leaders. So how did you become an EOS implementer?
Well, as you said, I spent most of my career working in private and publicly traded companies, and I've led operations and I've helped teams solve problems all around the U.S. and throughout the world. One day, frankly, I just decided I didn't want to work in the bureaucracy anymore. And I started my own process improvement coaching business. And as I worked with my clients, I kept seeing the same issues. There's no vision, no plan, a lot of firefighting, people problems. Then I was introduced to EOS by working with a company in Chicago, actually. And I immediately saw how it helped answer these business issues. And I knew that I wanted to go out and help companies implement EOS and reap these gains. And so that's what I get to do every day.
Right. And we talked about how some corporations are able to, have something like that in place, but small businesses, there's kind of a gap there.
Yeah.
That you can go in and help them with that.
Typically, there's a lot of books out there with large corporations. There's a lot of folks geared for that, but small businesses can't afford the bureaucracy and the overhead
Right.
and complexity. It's just
Right.
them working.
Right.
EOS cuts through that.
Right. So you spend a lot of time working with small and mid-sized businesses. What do you see as some of the biggest problems they face?
So some of the typical issues these businesses face, they have a lack of shared vision and plan. And essentially, knowing where does the business want to go, how it plans to get there. Another is people. Having great people are people who are a cultural fit and are great at what they do. And finally, businesses make decisions based on gut feel or emotion versus using data. And what happens is they end up just letting issues linger. They don't solve anything.
Right. Do you help them with a business plan, or is that something that they would do themselves, or do they have one in place when you go in to help them?
All matter. Typically not.
Right.
And what we'll do as part of getting them on the same page with their vision is help them get a plan.
Okay.
We plan around 1 year. We particularly want to get them into the 90-day world of planning quarterly so they can stay focused and keep
Right.
moving forward.
Right. Because as we know, things are dynamic and with the economic situations and things
Right.
change. So what do you see happening when owners and leaders have a shared vision and a plan?
So typically when they don't have a shared vision and a plan, there's just a lot of firefighting. They're working really hard to keep the business moving forward, but it happens, what happens, excuse me, is they're doing it by firefighting. They're jumping from thing to thing to thing. And you'll also find sometimes that these leaders are actually working at cross purposes, not because they have any desire for ill will or harm to business. It's just they each think they know what's best and they're all doing their own thing.
Right.
And so what happens with us when we work with a client is we try to get them on the same page by having them answer 8 questions.
Okay.
And,
Can you tell us what those are?
Yes. So first, let's be honest. There's a million tools out there for strategic planning, but the thing is, most of those are too complicated. They're too time consuming, and usually SPOTS occurs. SPOTS is strategic plans on top shelves. So we get them to answer 8 questions as a team and agree on their answers. Those questions are: what are your core values? What's your core focus? What's your 10-year target? What's our marketing strategy? What's our 3-year picture? What's our 1-year plan? What are our 90-day rocks? And what are the other issues that are left?
Wow, that's pretty powerful.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that in a nutshell tells you right there exactly. I guess you get to the core of what it is, what the problem is. So does the answer to those 8 questions, do then they morph into a plan? Is that what happens? Or?
So the 8 questions, first off, all businesses have unique answers to the 8 questions, but those answers form their vision, their strategy, and their plan. If you look at the first 5 questions, they represent the leader's shared vision and strategy, where they want to go. The last 3 questions are the plan to move forward with that vision during the year. And it also moves the team to quarterly planning, which, as I said earlier, gets them focused on every quarter. What do we need to do now to move forward?
Right. And do you find that they come on board, like once you start with a company, or do they sort of fall apart, a few weeks into it? They're like, I don't want to be bothered with this, Well,
we hold a 90-minute meeting with them before we ever start, so they understand what's going to happen, how it's going to work.
Right.
What I find is the farther they get in, the more they like it,
Really?
the deeper, and they learn. We coach a lot. We're coaches, not consultants.
Okay.
They get better and better, and they take ownership. Now, do people fall out? Oh, yeah, people are people.
Right.
But for the most part, they just keep getting deeper into it, and they see the benefits happening.
Right.
And their team will see the benefits also because of the discipline they start to see.
Okay. Do you put them on the hot seat at all? I mean, do they have homework to do? Do they come back and say, well, we did this, but I couldn't be bothered with that? Or
I've never heard the term hot seat, but yeah, that is the quarterly meeting. Quarterly meeting, first thing we do is just, how did we do last quarter.
Right.
What happened? What are our results?
Okay.
And how did you do with your quarterly rocks, your priorities?
Okay.
And then most importantly, what did you learn?
Right.
And also, do you have any confessions about what you didn't do?
Right.
And part of the journey we take with them
Mhm.
is getting them to understand how they need to be disciplined, prioritize. A lot of times it's not that they undershoot, is they take on too much.
Mhm.
So that's what we want them to recognize is what's important, what can I do?
Mhm.
Because you still have to run the day-to-day business. You got to answer the phone,
Absolutely.
write payroll checks,
Right, yeah.
build the product,
Mhm. Sure.
So
Is there a lot of finger pointing? It's like, well, I would have got this done, but so and so had me doing this. I mean, is that
it happens.
Okay.
And that's what we're there to do, is to help them work through
Right.
that, call them out.
right?
Blame doesn't work.
Right.
And it's prioritizing. Sometimes it is somebody just got shiny object
Mhm.
syndrome.
Absolutely. I love that.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
A lot of visionaries do.
Sure.
And this gives them that discipline. It gives their team also a vehicle to say, look, we got these priorities
Mhm.
and we need to press forward. We'll look at them in 90 days.
Mhm.
Or do you want to change something?
Okay.
But now there's a way to respond and everybody's on board with how it works.
Right. That's great. So do you have a celebration? If things are turning out really good, do you celebrate somehow? Or?
Typically, we have a 2-day annual,
Oh,
and
wow.
we encourage the team to celebrate.
Okay.
Sometimes we get involved, but typically we want them to celebrate for trust building.
Mhm.
I will say I particularly enjoyed a December annual where they had doubled their sales,
Wow.
and they brought out some 20-year-old bourbon.
Oh, wow.
We wrapped up the meeting taking action on him as we sipped.
Phenomenal.
So,
wow.
yeah.
Wow. That's
So-
great. I was going to ask you, can you give us some examples of companies that you've worked with? Without names.
Without
Yeah.
names, without names. So first, EOS is industry agnostic.
Uh-huh.
It's really all businesses have the same 6 components.
Right.
And it's just a matter of tailoring the model and the components to them.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen a lot of folks that suddenly up their sales by 20% or double their sales.
Mm-hmm.
Seen folks get focused and increase their profitability by 10 and 15%.
Excellent.
I've seen just some of them. Just one guy said, "I can tell it's working because I go home and have dinner."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wow. That's really good. Yeah.
Well, and as you know, as a small
Yeah.
business owner,
Mhm.
your life
yeah.
and the business are the same,
Absolutely. Yeah.
and there's no
Sure.
intertwining. There's
Mhm. Oh, I'm often working till 10 o'clock at night.
There we
Yeah.
go.
And
Yeah.
beyond sometimes.
Right.
Yeah.
And meanwhile, your husband's home
Mhm.
and waiting, and when are you going to get done, and what are you going to do?
Right. Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It
Mhm.
happens. Yes.
Mhm.
So have you seen any instance where you've gone in there and it hasn't worked? I mean, what do you do then? You just you stick with them and you say, "Listen, stick with me because I know this is going to work." Or what do you do?
So I haven't had anybody outright fail. I'll be
Okay.
honest with you,
Okay.
but I've had people get stuck. I've had
Right.
people suddenly regress.
Okay.
And we just regroup. We start talking about it. It's a lot of it is just open, honest dialogue. We ask everybody to open, honest,
Mm-hmm.
say what's on your mind,
Mm-hmm.
and as well as listen to what everybody else is saying,
Mm-hmm.
and then go from there. And you use some coaching, and sometimes you got to have some tough love.
Right.
But that's the learning process.
Mhm.
As long as they're moving forward, and they'll come in. A lot of people are really show humility, and they're embarrassed when it happens.
Right. So you
Yeah.
say that EOS is agnostic. So who is a good client for you?
So we look at it by size and really their attitude. So businesses with 10 to 250 employees,
Okay.
the owners and leaders are open-minded, they're growth-oriented,
Uh-huh.
they're frustrated and want help, and the key is probably want help. But if
Mhm.
you fit into that is a good group to start talking with.
Right.
Uh,
So a good referral for you would be what you just described.
Yeah.
And does the owner have to voice that they need the help, or do you get a referral? What is it? This guy really needs help, and you go in there. It turns out he looks at you and say, "What are you here for?"
Yeah.
So.
So typically, we start the conversation. Somebody, just like you said, hey, this guy could really use you.
Mhm.
Hopefully, we'd like them to send an email saying,
Mhm.
hey, talk to this guy, but just call him and start chatting,
Right.
and you'll figure out whether they need help or want help, and where we're going to go.
Mhm.
The first step for us, just to make sure everybody's on board, so we're not wasting time,
Mhm.
is we have a complimentary 90-minute meeting,
Okay.
and we just go through and we talk about who or what EOS is, who I am,
Mhm.
talk about where they're at, what's important to them.
Mhm.
We talk about the tools we use,
Mhm.
and then we talk about the process.
Okay.
And by the end of that, the question is, hey, is this something you want?
Mhm.
I am not going to chase you down the,
Right, right.
grabbing your leg,
Right, I know, yeah, because you and I talked about it's very hard to sell a service. Somebody has to really, really want to improve and move to the next level, and yeah.
Mhm.
So,
Right.
so I have a question here, and I'm wondering what is an L10?
What is an L10? So, first off, I've got to apologize. I got caught up in the three-letter acronyms.
Okay.
Trap. My wife gets driven crazy by me doing it. But the way we create accountability with our 90-day rocks
Mhm.
is we want everybody to meet weekly.
Mhm.
And so what we do is we call that the level 10 meeting,
Oh, okay.
because when it's done properly,
Right.
the meeting goes from the quality level of a typical 4
Mhm.
to a 10.
Wow.
And that's that purpose of creating accountability. We're having them look at the rocks, look at their scorecards,
Right.
and then solve issues, the things that are
Okay.
holding them back.
And so you're a facilitator?
I will teach them how to do it. When we're
Okay.
in our quarterly sessions, I will
Okay.
take them through and show them what to do. And then I will help them go through problem solving. Our term for it in EOS is IDS, identify, discuss, and solve.
Okay.
And my goal is to teach them how to do it.
Okay.
My goal is to get them graduated and have them master the process and move on or leading their business.
Okay.
Be a good referral source for me.
Right. Right. Oh, yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
but our goal is to get them to graduate, and you have to show them how to do it.
Oh, interesting. So there is no facilitator in the weekly meetings, but then there is one at the quarterly meetings. Is that what you're saying?
Good question. So what we do very first day with them is have them identify who's going to be their facilitator.
Okay.
The person who's really holding everything together and coordinating all the major functions is called an integrator.
Interesting.
Equivalent might be your second in command, your chief operating officer.
Uh-huh.
But then that person typically is facilitating these meetings
Okay.
and keeping everybody moving forward.
Okay. And who do you find? I mean, is it that a person that's been a natural leader anyway, or how do you? I mean, I'm sure you've seen in as many companies as you've been in.
Mhm.
Can you pick out who they're going to pick as their facilitator? Do you know from the first get-go?
Hopefully this doesn't sound terrible, but yeah, I have a pretty good idea.
Figured you would.
Yeah, pretty good idea.
Yeah.
And
So
I'll probably guide them there.
So you figure out who would be a good facilitator
Right.
by the way they're answering questions and the way maybe that their posture is, and maybe what their popularity is. You can kind of tell that amongst their team
Yes,
members.
you'll know who's there. They're kind of
Right.
keeping things moving and moving
Okay.
it along, driving
Okay.
it, as opposed to people that are just kind of popping ideas.
Okay.
Yeah,
I figured you would be able to. So are the L10s just one more weekly meeting?
What they're intended to do is replace what would be your weekly
Okay.
leadership meeting.
Okay.
But what makes the meeting so powerful is the agenda.
Okay.
Because we start by statusing all the 90-day priorities, scorecards. And when we say we're statusing, we're really asking on track or off.
Okay.
We're not discussing, we're not justifying, we're not rationalizing,
Mhm.
because this is where the meetings start to fall apart.
Mhm.
We spend all our time talking about stuff that's not actually that important,
Okay.
and it gets in the way of the important stuff.
Right. Right.
So we go through this with on track or off. If you're off track on one of your priorities, your
Mhm.
scorecards drops down to our issues list.
Okay.
Then we move in and we look at your 7-day to-do list. Again, done or not done.
Mhm.
Really want you to have 90% of your to-dos done in a week.
Mhm.
Nothing older than 2 weeks, because really keep that
Right.
weekly accountability moving.
Right.
And we spend the majority of the time, about an hour, working on solving issues. Again, using the IDS process. And the way that works is we first make sure you have a complete list of all your issues.
Mhm.
And then we look at the top 1, 2, and 3 issues.
Okay.
Not the shortest, the quickest, the oldest, any. What are the 3 most important things?
Mhm.
And then you start working through the process of IDSing.
Okay.
And what happens here is if nothing else gets done but 1 or 2 issues,
Right.
you've solved the most important things.
Okay. Do you see the same issues popping up all the time, or are they different every week? I mean, what do you do about an issue that just is a big problem and it just keeps, getting stale in there?
Yeah, good. That's a good question. So typically, our goal is for you to get in and work through the issue, identify the root cause,
Uh-huh.
and then go in and determine what you need to do to solve it,
Mm-hmm.
and then implement.
Mm-hmm.
If you've gotten root cause, it should go away.
Okay.
When they keep popping up,
Mm.
it says you have not found root cause.
Mm.
You've actually done something called you found contributing causes.
Okay.
And so you just need to keep coming back and really driving. And people are not trained to find root cause, or really nobody has formal problem solving when they go to
Right,
school.
right. Mm-hmm.
So it's trial and error
Mhm.
for that.
Right.
Rule of thumb is you found the root cause when you can turn the problem on and off with that item.
Mm-hmm.
And again, it's just practice. You got to keep working on it. You got to keep realizing that you got to get good at it. You just
Mhm.
can't accept any answer.
Right. Well, you just hit on a good point, because I'm sure business schools don't teach this,
Mhm.
what you're teaching. Do you think that would be an avenue that you could go down, with this program?
Oh, to go to business schools?
Mhm.
No, it is really geared towards the
Okay,
entrepreneur.
to
that
people that are actually in business and
Right,
okay, all
right, real business. What makes it easy, what helps them learn is that they feel their pain.
Uh-huh.
They start to see that when they finally get it and they're really solving their issues, stuff's going away. They see the discipline, they see the accountability,
Mhm.
and that makes it work. And
Right.
so it's not academic.
Right. And do you
Uh,
find that the employees find there's an issue, or do they go, are there a lot of eye rolling and like, oh, what's this guy going to do?
Yeah.
It's because the boss has brought you in and they didn't think there was an issue. I mean, do you
Mhm.
get it? Do you get some of that?
You get that. Now, I will be honest, I work with the leadership team,
Okay.
and my goal is to get the leadership team
Okay.
to work with their employees.
Okay.
The employees are typically looking at it and saying, well, this is just another fad.
Right. Right.
It'll go away.
Right. Right.
And
Yeah.
so what we want to do is just keep going and
Okay.
working and working. What we find after a couple of months of
Mhm.
doing this is that the employees start to say, wow, it's working. We're seeing
Interesting.
the discipline, we're seeing the focus, we're seeing them resolve issues and make decisions.
Wow.
And
That's
so they
great.
really enjoy that.
Yeah, I would think so. It probably make it a more pleasant place to work too.
Oh, exactly.
When people are, finally learning, how to be leaders, how to
Mhm.
solve issues, and those kind of things.
Mhm.
I would think that would be really, useful to a small business, really,
Mhm.
because there really isn't anywhere else they could go, other than just, to bring you in,
Right. Mhm.
other than maybe a business coach, but they probably they don't, do the deep dives that you do.
Right.
They would just look top view of the business and say, oh, you need to do this and this and this. And that's normally just involving the owner. So I think it's
Mhm.
great that you involve everybody and you get everybody on board, to make it a more peaceful work environment.
No, I agree. And frankly, I'm asked, who do you coach? I coach the whole team,
Mhm,
because that's how you pull together. Because
Mhm.
a lot of times the issue is they don't have a team.
mhm.
They have people, they have quote leaders,
Right.
but they've never become a team.
Right.
And that's when you see the lack of purpose, lack of focus, lack of accountability,
Uh-huh.
really lack of ownership.
Right. Right.
So no, good point.
So we're going to take a short break in a few minutes, but before we do, would you like to tell me or tell the listeners how they can get in touch with you?
So you can reach me, you can call me. My phone number is 636-667-0579.
Okay.
I'm a good Air Force guy, so I have to repeat it.
Okay.
636-667-0579.
All right.
Or you can email me at john@drivingchange.com.
Okay. And then you also, I noticed you have a web page. It's,
Yes, I do.
Kind of like, and it's got a lot of information on there
Mhm.
about your program and how
Yeah.
they can get in touch with you. And
Mhm.
so one more question. So why do you rate a meeting at the end? I see where you're rating a meeting. How do you do that?
So the purpose of rating the meeting is to make sure that you're having the best experience you can together.
Okay.
And what we want you to do is rate it from 1 to 10, 10
Okay.
being best.
Okay.
And a rule of thumb is if you get below an 8,
Hmm.
then you need to go and discuss what happened.
Okay.
Because again, meetings are expensive and people lose focus
Mhm.
when they're not getting their best.
Mhm.
And this is a chance to say, what would I like you to do differently?
Wow.
So
Well,
rating.
I rate this interview 100. So,
Thank you.
and so now we're going to take a short break, right, Mark? Yeah. Okay. And we have a few commercials because we have to get paid for the program. This is the Women in Business Show on KWRH 92.9 FM and KXOK 102.9.
Hey, listeners, saying thanks to your customers is nice and polite, but expressing your gratitude in memorable and ongoing ways can boost your business. At Promo Experts LLC, we exceed our customers' expectations. For over 20 years, our product knowledge and experience has helped them with their marketing initiatives and trade show graphics. We are happy to put that experience to work for you. Quality products, great customer service, and prices are our number one priority. We work with you to find unique, creative, and new ideas that fit your image and expectations, helping you build strong relationships with your customers. When you select Promo Experts as your marketing partner, we help you to see more than the big picture. For more information about this exciting opportunity, contact Diane Carson, President, at 636-458-5241. That's 636-458-5241. Let Promo Experts help you to move your business brand beyond the bland.
If you're looking for a new, informative health and lifestyle show to gain knowledge and inspiration to help guide your journey to think, work, and live more powerfully, then you need to listen to Sage Advice with Melissa. It's live each Thursday from 10 to 11. Now, whether you're trying to improve your life from a mental, physical, or spiritual journey, Sage Advice with Melissa Coleman, CEO of Sage Skincare, delivers weekly advice from industry experts to provide you with insightful suggestions to allow you to thrive with a better quality of life. Melissa's mission? To guide you through the uncharted waters of health and wellness and to give you a voice to help improve your life. So be sure to tune in to Melissa on KWRH 92.9 FM every Thursday at 10 a.m. You'll be glad you did.
Many small businesses do not have a marketing manager. In many cases, it is the company owner that drives marketing and sales efforts with the gut instinct to survive. Even when small businesses do have a marketing manager, though, many of them are trying to navigate through the complex sales and marketing landscape with little to no success or budget.
How to Promote Your Business with Limited Money is a general purpose how-to business book written for business owners and marketing professionals by business owners Dr. Stan Fine and Joseph W. Clote. This guide is not intended to be read as a front-to-back chapter book and rather serves as a quick reference guide. Refer to this book as you need specific information and skip around as needed.
Promoting your business with limited money is one challenging feat, but there are unlimited ideas you can apply to achieve objectives you pre-establish. So put on your marketing hat and let's take action to start showing your prospects the value your business delivers.
A little you need to know about Dr. Stan Fine. During his 60-year career, Dr. Fine has become an authority on sales and marketing business development issues. His presentations have made him much in demand as a speaker and seminar leader. He has taught business development topics at numerous universities across the United States and has conducted over 500 sales and management seminars. Some of Dr. Fine's credentials in corporate America are currently, Dr. Fine serves as a co-host of the Your Business radio show on KWRH 92.9 FM in St. Louis and a co-host of Nationwide Daily Radio Show on my Genre Radio Network on the Zeno Media platform. In 100 cities, he is also on a daily TV show on the Valuable TV and the Real TV networks. Go and get a copy of How to Promote Your Business with Limited Money today.
To purchase your copy of How to Promote Your Business with Limited Money, go to It's Your Business website at www.itsyourbusinessradio.com.
Welcome back to part 2 of our show. If you're just now joining us, you are listening to the Women in Business Show. You can catch us locally every Sunday, locally in St. Louis, every Sunday at noon on KWRH 92.9 and KXOK 102.9 FM, and streaming daily at 11 and 2 on My Genre Radio through Zeno FM at zenofm/St. Louis. Today, we are talking with John Gross, professional EOS implementer of Driving Change Incorporated. That's his company. And it's pretty interesting how John goes in and works with teams to get everybody on board to make the company successful. So everyone agrees that great people are important. So why do you highlight the need for great people?
Well, first, you cannot achieve a great vision without great people.
Mm-hmm.
Every organization has its own definition, however, of what are great people. So what a business needs to do is really define great people by defining what's a cultural fit, or are they right people,
Mhm.
and also who's great at their job or right seats, based on the roles and
Mhm.
responsibilities for each seat in their accountability chart.
Right.
Just to remember, great people are right people in the right seats, and you got to have both.
Mhm.
So
Right.
that's why it's important.
So who decides who, is there a special interview that they go through to make sure that they're in the right position? Do you notify the owner that, hey, this
Mhm.
guy really needs to be in sales and you've got him sitting at a desk doing something? Or, do you help with that?
Will help. And here's the key. We give them the tools. We show them how to do something called a people analyzer, and we help them look and compare the core values that they develop
Mhm.
and compare to their people and have them work through the issues and then do the coaching themselves,
Mhm.
because that's how they create buy-in, they create ownership,
Mhm.
and people have that build respect for them as leaders.
Mhm.
Now, the right seat is really around something we call an accountability chart.
Right.
And this is really like an org chart on steroids.
Oh, wow.
And so what we're doing is we're figuring out what are the right functions that they need to have,
Mhm.
and then what are the roles and responsibilities for each of those unique functions.
Mhm.
And then we try to figure out, well, then we get the owners and the leaders of the business to say who fits that right seat based on what they're good at, what they do,
Mhm.
what do they consistently love, what do they consistently deliver on.
Mhm.
Because again, you want to have them a cultural fit, right people.
Right.
You want them to be great at that seat.
Mhm.
Issues come in, frankly, when we have folks that aren't right people,
Right.
or we have people that want a role, but they don't have the skills for it.
Mhm.
And then we have to work through it. But that's part of running a business, as you know,
Right.
and we help them work through that. They're going to take care of those issues, but we're going to coach them and really hold them accountable.
Okay. And so, do they agree that, if you have them switch a seat? Is that something they gladly do, or that's happened to me, by the way, because I was at the special events director for a large department store, and
Mhm,
somehow I was pushed into another position,
mhm.
which I kept for 10 years. I totally hated it. I loved being in special events, and they're like, no, you'll be great at this. You're right for this. Go and do it. And I'm like, oh, so I just kind of feel for those people that everybody thinks, oh, you'd be really good at this. So do you find pushback or?
You do. First off, it's really about the leadership team saying where are the right seats for folks and where they want them, what are they going to do best. They're going to have those conversations. Some people don't want to do things and they need to work through it.
Mhm.
There's a number of options. You can agree not to move them.
Mhm.
You can move them.
Right.
They may find it's not right for them and leave. But again, you have to do what's right for the business,
Right. Absolutely.
and you have
Yeah.
to have them in a position
Right.
that matches again their
Mhm.
their wants. What is their skills? Do
Mhm.
they get it? Do they want it? Are
Mhm.
they capable?
Right.
And because that's what makes for a person being great at their
Right.
job.
As a business owner now, I understand that. At the
Yeah.
time when I was a corporate employee, it was like, oh no, what are they doing to me?
Mhm.
So yeah, I do. I get it. So what if people share a responsibility? How does that work?
Well, first in the U.S. they don't.
Hmm. Okay.
Only one of the key assumptions of the accountability
One
chart.
body in one slot.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. And only one person responsible for any major function. So like sales.
Okay.
So somebody might have them function for revenue,
Right.
and they might get a lot of help from the other people in the team, but they own the revenue number
Mhm.
and they own that responsibility.
Okay.
Uh,
And are they people that have, well, I guess that's another
Mhm.
question. When you start working with these teams, have most of the team members, especially the leadership team, have they been leadership members for a while, or do you find some of them are really newbies? And how does that work with the people that have been there for so long, and then these newbies come in? How does that work? What are the dynamics?
So first off, it's a combination of both.
Uh-huh.
As we start to help them flush out, what do they
Uh-huh.
need?
Okay.
What's the right structure for their business?
Mhm.
You may have people already. You may have to bring somebody up. You might be developing them. And the personal people are people.
Mhm.
And so the dynamics run the full spectrum. I'm relieved you're here to What are you going to do?
Mhm.
And there's more than a few old guys like me
Right,
who are say kid, so it's a full
Yeah.
gambit, and that's
Right.
but that's part of what we want to do with the team is get them to work through those issues,
Mhm.
have those hard conversations,
Right.
face reality, so they can move forward.
Okay.
Those things have been holding them back.
Right.
Not having the people who are skilled in their jobs doing
Mhm.
things that they had
Mhm.
outgrown.
Right.
The business is outgrowing them.
Mhm.
So those are those really hard conversations
Mhm.
nobody wants to have.
Right.
Everybody wants to have ice cream and hot dogs.
Sure.
Nobody wants to talk about that the role is bigger than you.
Right. Okay.
But we encourage you to do it.
Okay.
I have had owners and leaders who have immediately stepped, you're right, we've got to do it. I had one client that he waited 15 months to deal with his controller.
Interesting.
And he kept wondering why he was not achieving a lot of his goals and rocks as a team.
Uh-huh.
And it's like, finally it got down to, guys,
Okay.
you won't do this
Right.
and you're suffering.
Right.
And so 15 months later, they got the right person.
Okay.
And again, that was a problem that was there when we walked in.
Mm-hmm.
And we were there. We set up the mechanism for them to talk about what was going on
Mm-hmm.
and realized that they needed to make a change.
Okay. So now here's a question that was not on your list of questions that you
Sure.
asked me, but I know you'll know the answer to it. Tell me how women are different than men as team leaders. Do you find there's a difference, or are people just people?
So first off, let's start with the challenges that women in business face
Mm-hmm.
are the same as men.
Right.
But what happens with women tend to take on more responsibilities.
Right.
And so EOS actually helps them
Interesting.
to balance.
Okay.
And I had one client who said, EOS got her 10% more time.
Wow.
And so she translated that into, instead of doing emails
Mm-hmm.
while she watched her kids play soccer,
Mm-hmm.
she watched the game.
Excellent. Wow, that's
So,
great.
yeah.
Boy, that's a really good testimonial.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wondered whether they were more emotional or, how they handled, some of the weekly meetings. Are they different, or just do they give as good as they get? Let's put it that way.
I have seen them give as good as they get,
Really?
and I have seen men who are just like big tubs of Jello. So yeah. So no, I think people are there. I think you
Okay.
think about, frankly, entrepreneurs,
Uh-huh.
male or female, they come up.
Right.
There's the love of the business, the passion.
Right.
They've made hard choices.
Right.
They've made sacrifices.
Mhm.
So they develop along the way.
Okay.
You are not going to trap me into saying that women are more emotional than men, or any of that, because I've seen some ladies
Yeah.
make some really tough choices, and
Yeah.
I've seen some men that are just
Wow,
get really emotional.
that's amazing. Well,
Uh,
I'm glad to hear you say that. That's good answer. Good answer. Okay, so in today's economy, with a shortage of qualified workers, why should business owners worry about cultural fit instead of just filling their vacancy?
So in today's economy, and in the labor market we have,
Mhm,
it is incredibly tempting to hire the first qualified person you meet,
mhm,
but that's a mistake. Hiring people who are not a cultural fit,
Mhm.
they are what it does is keeps you from getting the best team you can,
mhm,
and these folks will they'll eat away at your culture,
Mm.
and typically they don't stay that long.
mm,
So now you have two problems.
Right.
First, you're repairing the damage they did to the culture,
mhm,
and you still have to replace them and find somebody to do the job.
Right. How do you know though when you? I guess if you outsource your HR, I suppose that somebody like an HR company would figure
Mhm.
that out.
So what we do is in the first question in the VTO, in the 8 questions for strategy,
Right.
we say, what are our core values? So as a team, they've
Right.
developed their core values,
Right.
and then we say, find people that fit those.
Okay.
And typically most companies, on average, have about 5.
Mm-hmm.
And so we say, establish a bar
Mm-hmm.
that as long as if somebody is above that, or at that or above that bar,
Mhm.
their core values.
Right.
So typically we're saying three that they are definitely positive for,
Mm-hmm.
and typically 2 that they're sometimes.
Okay.
No negative behaviors.
Right.
But again, that's how you assess. When they're hiring,
Mhm.
when you're a small business, sometimes you don't have the money to
Mm,
hire
True.
those outside folks.
Mhm.
So you need to be looking, are they a core fit? And
Mhm.
use that as a guide. Ask questions. Be clear that this is your core values. This is your culture.
Mhm.
And we expect you as a new employee
Mm.
to live by those.
Right.
And what our experience tells us, and by the way, there are over 14,000 companies running on EOS with an implementer. There's more that are self-implementing.
Wow.
But what we found is when you're clear up front
Mhm.
and you're there, a lot of people will say it's not for me.
Mhm.
So you'll avoid that. But you avoid it by being open and honest.
Mhm.
And then as people work, if they violate your core values, you need to have a conversation with them.
Mhm. Right.
And so this is straightforward,
Mhm.
but it's not always easy because you've got to use the tools and you've got to make judgments.
Right.
But that's how you get that
Okay.
right people,
Okay.
that core fit.
And do you expect all the employees to know those core values? Because I know a lot of companies expect them to be able to recite them back. Yeah.
Yes, but
Okay.
we say over time. And one of the things that we realize is first, once you've answered the 8 questions, first you go share it with your team.
Mm.
You want them to understand it, to feel it, to want to be part of it.
Mhm.
You want them to question.
Mhm.
And so then every quarter thereafter, as a minimum, every quarter,
Mhm.
after you've got your new priorities, share it with them, tell them an update,
Mhm.
and really drive getting them to understand your core values. They also need to see that you're hiring, you're firing, you're recognizing and rewarding, you're promoting
Mhm.
people with have the core values.
Right.
So they get to understand that you truly are living them,
Mhm.
and which that's when they absorb it.
Right. That's good. So at the beginning of the interview, you said that making data-driven decision is more important than using your gut feel. So isn't your gut? I do a lot by my gut. So I just wondered,
Yeah.
is gut feeling not important?
Okay. Well, gut feel never goes away.
Right.
Okay, that is just part of being
Mhm.
a human.
Right.
But I will say it's amazing how often
Uh-huh.
your gut is right
Mhm.
when you have data to back up your decision.
Mhm.
And you might say that using data
Mm.
reduces your indigestion.
Mhm. Right.
So it's kind of helping your gut feel.
So
with
when you
data.
say data, are you saying, I mean, there's always a saying like past performance, proves future performance and all
okay.
that kind of stuff. So explain what you mean by data.
So when we talk about data, when I talk about data, we're saying identify the 5 to 15 high-level numbers that give you a pulse on your business, that tell you everything is working or not working.
Mhm.
And then you want to create just a simple scorecard
Okay.
to track those every week.
Mhm.
And then we talked about it having the L10,
Mhm.
and the L10, you
Okay.
go through them and on track or off.
Okay.
If they're off, take action.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's the kind of data that you got. Give me an example.
Number of sales calls,
Oh,
proposals
okay.
written,
Okay.
number of inventory levels,
Okay.
customer
Oh,
complaints,
perfect. Okay.
all the things. And then there are unique things
Right.
to your business here,
Right.
there.
Right.
So you can't just be cookie cutter.
Mhm.
Where productivity might be a big thing in a manufacturing firm, it's not as easy to measure in, say, a marketing firm.
Mhm.
So you just have to tailor it.
Right. So when you say, okay, so with marketing, yeah, it's kind of hit or miss. But marketing is consistency. I mean, if you do something one time, you can't judge by that. I mean, you have to, many
Right.
touches,
Mhm.
many really marketing initiatives. You have to do it all, basically.
And so in that case, you're measuring your pipeline
Right.
and you're measuring your touches,
Right.
consistency of the follow-up,
Right. Right.
and those. Again, what are the things that predict outcome for you?
Okay.
What are the actions?
Mhm.
Everybody. Weight is a great example.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, stepping on your scale,
Mm-hmm.
is a dread
Mm-hmm.
unless you're eating right, watching what you eat,
Mhm.
and you're exercising.
Right.
And if you're doing those things, stepping on your scale is not a problem.
Right.
And likewise, when you step on the scale and you don't like the reading,
Yeah.
do you throw the scale out?
No.
You look at your exercise,
Right,
your weight,
right.
how much you eat.
That's a great analogy.
And that's what scorecards are.
Yeah. So when we talked about where the data comes from, so are there any online resources that you can use to select your matrix, or should business leaders
Mhm.
develop their own from scratch?
So I'm sure there are online resources,
Okay.
but to effectively use the data, the business should select the numbers that mean something to them.
Mm-hmm.
You can, if you just copy somebody else's scorecard, or you
Right.
go out online and download something,
Mm-hmm.
how do you know that it really reflects your business
Mm-hmm.
and that that it really helps you make the right decision? Is it telling you what you need?
Mhm.
Again, no two businesses are the same.
Right.
You might be in the same industry.
Mhm.
You might have similar equipment, but everybody runs their business
Well,
differently.
yeah, everybody has a different differentiate,
Yeah.
maybe it's in their customer service or it's in their product or,
Right.
whatever it
Mhm.
is. So who owns the numbers?
Okay. Basically, the people who own the outcome that those numbers are trying to predict. Go back to revenue.
Okay.
So if you're the revenue owner,
Hmm.
number of sales, numbers of proposals,
Hmm.
numbers of new contacts.
Okay.
Those things, you own those. You collect that data. You provide it to whoever's formatting and sending the scorecard.
Hmm.
But and by doing that, you're ideally, theoretically, looking at your numbers and seeing your trend.
Right.
And before you get to any meetings, you're saying, "Hey, I got to do something."
So you make an adjustment, you say, oh, so-and-so, you need to make more sales calls, and you report back to me when you've done that?
Right.
Okay.
And as you know, what gets measured gets done.
Mhm,
And so when you start asking those questions and you have data,
mhm,
people start knowing that and they start doing them.
right.
Your life gets better.
Yeah, I think I once read a book, is it The Power of No or something like that, where this guy realized that he was making all these sales calls, but he didn't, he doubled his sales calls and he didn't mind about getting the no's anymore because the more no's he got, that's the more people he had been out to see. And then finally he started to get the yeses.
Right.
Yeah. So I guess, it pays to be, consistent.
And you need to know that, like I said, you might be in a business where you have to talk to 1,000 people to get a
Right.
sale or
Right.
some
Right.
relationship. So you're just tracking it.
Right.
I like to say you kiss a lot of frogs
Yeah, that's true.
on your
Yeah.
way to success.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's true. And so it's more like the tenacity and just kind of keep moving things forward and really kind of teaching people how to do that. So somebody say that's like you said, I think we talked about somebody with shiny objects. How do you keep them in line?
So typically every business has someone like that. They're typically the owner.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I know a lot of ADD owners. Yeah.
There you go. And that's what some ways has been what's inhibiting their greater success because they have all these ideas and they're acting on them.
Mhm.
And so what happens is when we set the 1-year plan, we set the 90-day rocks.
Mhm.
We're saying this is what we're going to work on.
Mhm.
We're not going to change.
Right.
And so any idea they have, they put on the issues list.
Okay.
Now is it and if they say, "Hey, I'm the owner and I want to change,"
Mhm.
because every once in a while something really great happens. Had a client. 2 weeks after we had our quarterly session, they got the opportunity to buy out their competitor.
Wow.
So they changed their priorities to
Right.
buy this company
Sure.
out.
Sure.
Again, we say you shouldn't change more than once or twice a year, but how often does your competitor go up for sale?
Well, true. Yeah.
So in those cases, yeah, let's pursue that, but let's also now say, what are we not going to do?
Mhm.
And so that we can get everything done we need and planfully decide.
Mhm.
So often people ad hoc decide on their own. We get back in the L10, we're going to buy our competitor out, for example.
Mhm.
That means we're not going to create this, we're not going to buy this new piece of equipment or
Okay.
change something
Mhm.
or institute a new HR program
Mhm.
because we need the resources to do that. But we planfully picked what we're not doing,
Mhm.
and we all walk away with the commitment to do everything that's left.
Mhm. Has that happened to you when you've been working with a company? What do you do with the teams? Because wouldn't there be, there's a marketing person in this
Mhm.
company and there's
Mhm.
also one in the other company. What
They-
happens?
They'll work through that. They'll figure out
Okay.
what they're going to do.
Okay.
Depends on how they're being bought, what's happening.
Right. Right.
That is a level of detail. What we would say is make a plan.
Okay.
And
Right.
if asked on a situation, obviously we'll give advice. I know,
Right.
based on my experience, I'll give advice,
Hmm.
but again, tend to want them to ask
Right.
and make those decisions.
Right.
You'll find, I think, a lot of people when they buy companies already have some thoughts about what they want to do.
Sure. Yeah. And how long do you normally stay with a client?
Around 2 years.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So we
Okay.
meet 12 times over 2 years,
Okay.
typically.
Uh-huh.
And over that time, we help them again get a vision and a plan,
Uh-huh.
get into the quarterly execution,
Okay.
have an annual session to make a new plan every year.
Mhm.
And on average, that's about 2 years because our
Mhm.
goal is to help them master the EOS process,
Mhm.
help them implement it in the rest of their business.
Mhm.
And once they've done that, they're ready to graduate.
Okay.
You know, it's your business. My job is to help you run it better, and then
Right.
get out of your way.
Right.
You know,
Right.
so I'm
Yeah.
not there to dig in and get more hours.
Mhm.
You know, and again, like I always joke it, but I'd love a referral.
Right.
But again, you know, about
Sure.
2 years, and they've
Sure.
mastered it, and then you know, we get out of their way.
Mhm. How are you marketing your own company? How are you finding referrals?
You know, just through on networking, just like I met you.
Okay.
We
Right.
went to the mastermind,
Okay.
right? And we're chatting about what we do.
Mhm.
And you know, what I look at is how can I help you?
Hmm.
And I know that if I help enough people, I'm going to be successful.
Right. Absolutely. Yeah. Because I mean, some people are reluctant to admit they need help, but I think, probably after a while they decide, yeah, where's that guy I ran into? And I probably do, at this point. Yeah. So you don't do any, it's mostly just networking. You don't do any physical marketing, no mailings or newsletters or anything like that. I'm just curious because I'm a marketer. I just wondered how you market.
One of my clients is a radio station,
Okay.
and they do digital marketing, and they've done my
Oh,
digital
okay.
marketing.
Great. Okay.
And that's
Okay.
out there.
Okay, interesting. Yeah, because you pretty much have to do it all these days, It's not just Facebook and all that kind of stuff.
Right.
So
And I think you have to be open-minded. I'm not sure if it's going to, honestly, I hope they're not listening. I'm not sure if it's how it's going to help me,
mhm.
but you know what? I can tell you it's not going to do anything for me if I say no.
Well, absolutely.
And
yeah.
and there's nothing about me that says I'm a digital marketer, is
No,
there?
Right.
You know?
I don't know. Well, I think it's interesting that you're really educating people. To like, I'm here, I can help, and this is how I can help. And I would think that you'd probably a lot of people would be needing your services. It's just trying to find them, like
Okay.
all the others. The challenge of any small business
Right.
really is to find new clients and and get referrals and all that kind of thing. So, you've written a book, right? Did you write a book?
So I wrote 2 books.
Okay.
Back in my days when I was doing operational excellence,
Okay.
helping corporate teams, I wrote a book called Fundamentals of Preventive Maintenance.
Okay.
And I wrote a book for scheduling, just-in-time scheduling,
Wow.
called Kanban Made Simple.
Really? Wow.
Yes, yes.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
wow. That's pretty heavy.
Yeah.
So, but so with those 2 books, do you find that do you use those at all in your marketing, or do you?
Not really. They're not really related. Although if I get out to people who have a client or I meet
Mhm.
somebody, I'll give them a copy.
Right. Right.
I still get calls from people that ask questions
Okay.
and that. But no, but it also got me prepared for like writing the column
Mhm.
in the Small Business
Yeah,
Monthly.
that's
Was
interesting. Yeah.
the skill set of
Mhm.
writing, being active voice,
Mhm.
all those things. So that was
Mhm.
really good prep.
Yeah, it's a good column too.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, that's I don't think any other we have a Small Business Monthly newspaper in St. Louis, and everything in there is advice and help for small businesses, and it's a really nice, and I'm giving them a shout out here because
Yeah.
they're really
No.
really good, for our community, our small business community. Years ago, they used to be the only people in town that held networking events. I think they were probably the first people that did, actually. So I think they were ahead of the curve.
Mhm.
Yeah, and they hold an expo twice a year, and they get a lot of people. So yeah, I think that's great that you're writing that column. So, it's there's a lot of people that would be interested in learning more about what you do and how you can help them and that kind of thing. So if people want to talk more with you about what we discussed, how would they get in touch with you?
Again, just give me a call. My number is 636-667-0579.
Okay,
My email is john@drivingchangeinc.com.
great. Okay. And I have some fun questions.
Okay.
So where do you see yourself in 5 years' time?
This is one of the first times in my professional career where I see myself being this.
Really?
Oh, yeah.
Really?
Now ask where I think I'm going to be in 10 years.
Okay, 10 years, tell me.
Retired.
Oh, I was going to say on a beach with an umbrella drink. Okay.
Probably.
That's great.
Yeah.
All right. And what is on your nightstand?
What's on my nightstand? Right now, 6 questions for being a better coach.
Oh, wow. Okay. And what are the 6 questions?
Oh.
Uh-oh. I'm putting you on the spot. I'm
Well,
sorry.
the first one is what's on your mind?
Okay.
And the second one is what else?
Uh-huh.
What is really the challenge for you?
Okay.
And jump to the last one, which is and what did you get out of our conversation?
Oh, wow. Okay. There you
Okay,
go. See,
yeah.
you're learning.
Yeah,
Wow, that's
yeah.
pretty heavy too for night reading.
Mhm.
And so, what character in history would you like to be, and why?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I will tell you, my favorite leadership person. I have two favorite leaders.
Okay.
One was my first commander in the Air Force. His name was Colonel Francis Barnett,
Yeah.
and he was just an outstanding gentleman and leader.
Right.
And then the other is Dwight Eisenhower.
Wow.
So a super big fan of someone who had to go out and coordinate. He had all these diverse people. He had a huge enemy, had all kinds of supply line issues.
Right.
And, he
He was
basically,
a great leader. He
Yeah.
could have used EOS.
he could have. He could have.
Yeah.
Thank you for the plug.
That's interesting.
Mhm,
Oh, so okay. So you would like to be either one of those.
mhm.
Great. Well, so anything else you want to tell me about EOS? I think
No.
we covered a lot.
We've covered a lot. I
Yeah.
think it's a matter of if you feel stuck or frustrated with your
Right.
sales or your profits or
Right.
your team,
Okay.
you think about it, give it a try.
Okay.
That's why, like I said, I like to start off. Let's just have a talk,
Right.
and let's see where you're at,
Okay.
and see if we can help.
Okay. And you offer a 90-minute.
We'll offer a 90-minute meeting that comes out of if you're still interested, then we'll go do that.
Okay.
But again, at the end of the day, sometimes I just talk to people and then I just offer them ideas.
Right.
Again,
Right.
because I really do enjoy
Mhm.
helping people, giving
I
ideas.
can tell that. Yeah.
Go back to the column.
Mhm.
One of the things I like about the column is I have a whole lot of skills,
Mhm.
and I get to do it. I get to do little snippets.
Right.
The one I'm just writing now is about decision theory, about trying to make decisions with
Mhm.
likes versus needs.
That's excellent.
Again, just simple things people can use
Right.
and apply in everyday life.
Perfect.
So-
Perfect. So thank you for being my guest today.
Mhm.
And you provided a ton of information for listeners to think about, definitely think about. So let's tell our listeners again how they can learn more about you and driving change.
Well, Diane, thank you for having me.
You're
This has been
welcome.
great. I
Yeah.
didn't know what to expect, and I really enjoyed it.
Yes. It's been
I've met
fun.
one of my radio heroes.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. So, but you can, again, give me a call,
Okay.
636-667-0579,
Mhm.
or send me an email, john@drivingchangeinc.com.
Excellent. So listeners, please reach out to John to learn more about driving change in EOS, and to me, Diane at promoexperts.com for your promotional product needs, or to just offer feedback about the show. Thank you for listening.